Before I review my poker session, I'm just going to go on a little bit of a tangent here. Not quite poker related, but basically there was this huge fire that happened in Richmond, BC, where I'm located. On this side, I'm going to show some photos, videos, and media coverage of the incident. Yeah, this crazy fire happened right next to River Rock Casino, a place I frequently feature in my vlogs. The smoke was so bad it caused a temporary shutdown on the Oak Street Bridge, a route I take almost every day. As of this moment, this fire happened a couple days ago, and firefighters have worked long hours to put it out completely. As far as I know, the investigation is still ongoing, so we don't know what the cause is yet. As more details get revealed, I just hope that no one got hurt. And yeah, for the next little while, I'm probably going to avoid going to River Rock area. It still smells quite smoky outside. And there was an air quality warning issued. So yeah, hanging around River Rock Casino is pretty toxic, literally. And now on to my poker session. This episode, I'll be sharing a super short 1-3 session at Parq, Vancouver with you guys. In fact, the session was so short, I only have less than a handful of hands to share. And yeah, let's head to Parq. This hand, I pick up Queen Jack at the cutoff. Only the hijack limps. I decide to raise it up to either take down the dead money or isolate and play in position. I make it $15. The button, big blind, and hijack calls. It's four-way into a flop of Jack 10-3 with 2 clubs. The action checks to me. Wasn't hoping for a multi-way, but I do manage to flop top pair. I c-bet for $20. The button and hijack calls. The turn is a 7. The action checks to me again. I still have top pair with a decent kicker. This card does complete an open-ender with 8-9, so I have to be cautious about that. However, the board is very draw heavy. There are still a lot of straight draws that missed. I also unblocked the club flush draw, which is another prominent front door draw. I decide to go for another street of value, targeting all draws and maybe even dominated hands like Jack 9 or Jack 8. I bet $50. The button folds. The hijack calls. The river is an offsuit king. The villain checks. I tank for a bit and contemplate if I can go for value here. This card completes some straight draws, but since he checked, it's probably not likely. But if he did have a decent equity hand like Queen King or Ace King, he also just rivered a pair that beat me. If I bet for value, I'm basically targeting weaker Jack X, which is really limited to Jack 9 or Jack 8. A little too thin, I think. I'm actually thinking now if I need to turn my hand into a bluff to get him off top pair, since I'm blocking straights. Ultimately, I decide to check for a showdown, because there are a lot of flush draw hands that have basically surrendered, and none of value hands to pay me off. We table our hands, and I beat Jack 8 to take this one down. This hand, I pick up pocket jacks at under the gun. There's a button straddle to $6. The small blind folds. The big blind calls. I raise it up to $20. Everyone folds except for the big blind, who calls. It's heads up into a flop of deuce 9 rainbow. The villain leads out for $25. Kind of odd. I think this is almost never a deuce and just leans heavily towards 9x or pocket pair. Pretty easy call for me with an overpair. The turn is an ace. The villain checks. Not a good card, but not because I think it helped the villain in any way. I don't think he is leading out on the flop with ace high, but this card is mostly in my range, so If he did have 9x or a weaker pocket pair, this is the worst scare card for him, and my value might just end here. I decide to check back. This way my hand will be under-repped, and if he checks the river, I might be able to get some value with a river bet. The river is a 7, essentially a brick. The villain leads out for $75. His line is just not making too much sense now. I think 9x will almost always be check calling. Ace X could be betting for value, but it's so unlikely for him to have led out on the flop with ace high. This sizing is polarized to a deuce for value or random bluff. My hand is under-repped, so I figure that he could have led out on the flop on a dry board, and now is betting on the river after I check back the ace on the turn. I flick in the call. We table our hands, and I take this one down, beating King Queen.
Alright guys, I am switching up the view, so yeah, just to give you guys some more variety in terms of visuals. Next couple hands will be done in this format, and alright, so this hand I pick up 8-7 of clubs. Alright, I am at the cutoff. And under the gun limps, low jack opens to, well, it raises to $15. Hijack calls. And with pretty good position and a pretty good drawing hand, I cold call. Button also calls, and then blinds fold and original limper under the gun also calls. So it's 5-way into a flop of 2-8-5 with 2 hearts. And as I see that board, immediately I'm thinking, good, I flop top pair. However, under the gun leads out for $35. And then low jack calls. And then hijack also calls. So at this point, I'm thinking to myself, how good is my hand now? I only have top pair. Not a good kicker at all. I already blocked the open ender, right, with the 7. So if they're on draws, like how many hard draws can there be, right? Even if I say 2 people are on hard draws, if the other guy had a value hand, like what value hands can I beat? Pocket pair probably over pairs beat me, right? And then if there's an 8x in there, I would think it would beat 8-7, right? Ace-8 suited, maybe 8-9. So in this spot, I don't think like low jack and hijack are calling light here, and then I actually don't even think under the gun is leading out light into 4 people. So I make the fold. And in the end, we don't know what everyone has, because on the turn, someone makes a big bet of over $100 and everyone else mucks. But yeah, also another thought I was putting in there is that even if I call with top pair on this board, I can't really call another bet on the turn, right? Which is what happened. Yeah, I can only improve with what, an 8 or 7, and that's not a heart. So yeah, on to the next hand. This hand I pick up pocket 7s at under the gun +1. I open to $10. Everyone folds except for the big blind who defends. Heads up into a flop of deuce 3-4, 2 diamonds. Big blind, villain checks. I c-bet for $5, keeping it small, and just want to keep in draws or any random 4x, I guess, that could be defending. Villain check raises to $15. Okay, now for that price, I call because I am block flush draws, still beating flush draws, and also like 4-5 or another 4x type of hand. Turn is an ace, offsuit ace. Villain now checks. Now this is interesting. Could he have check raised with a naked 5 and then basically hit the open ender to make it straight? I don't think so. The reason for that is if you were doing that, my action with my action that I called, he has to bet big here to protect the straight, right? Because I could very well have a diamond flush draw. If he had a straight, that is, right? That's not the diamond flush draw. So when he checks, I think I'm still in the lead, unless he had ace X of diamonds or random ace high. So I go for a small bet, and I go for 15 bucks. And the reason for this bet is I kind of just want to keep the betting lead. If I check back, I don't know if I can call a big bet on the river for a bluff. So yeah, I just want to. This is my way of kind of pot controlling. And then the villain calls. River is the king of diamonds. Villain checks. So this is not a great card. If he didn't have 5x, he could have, the diamond flush draw. So with all the draws that hit right now, and then also ace and king in there, I check back for a showdown and just hope that I beat like random 4x. Right? And he mucks, so I'm good. And that's the end of that.
This session ended up being very short because as I sat down, for some reason, that table gradually broke. Players were table changing or leaving, and around 1.5 hours in, we were down to 5 players, with 1 or 2 players constantly being absent. Anyways, here are my results. I bought in for $500 and cashed out for $735. That is a profit of $235. Thank you for watching. I hope that everyone stays safe, and remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy my videos. See you next time.